Hi, my name is Chris, and today I'd like to talk to you about capital punishment and how I feel it is the long waiting game. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, capital punishment, also known as the death penalty, is the execution of an offender after conviction by a court of law, sentenced to death, might I add. And this is what's supposed to happen. However, truly, it does not today. Inmates sit on death row forever. And I'll show you. This is the current number of inmates on death row at the present time. There's actually 2,718 inmates. California having the largest, and Pennsylvania rounds out the top 5. All the others total only 1,059. So let's talk about California. The cost to house an inmate in California is approximately $47,000 a year. Now, let's take into consideration that on average, most inmates sit on death row for 25 plus years. 25. If we take that $47,000, simple math tells us that California taxpayers are responsible for over $1 million per inmate on death row right now. We can't have this. And it's too much. If we come closer to home, in Pennsylvania right now, we currently have 158 inmates sitting on death row. 38 of these they've been there for over 25 years. How can we have a death penalty that doesn't work? 29 inmates, they've died of natural causes, just sitting and waiting for their sentence to be carried out. It's extremely too long. We'll take a look at it. I don't know if any of you remember, you may be too young, the case of John Lesko and Michael Travaglia. The media dubbed it the kill for thrill. These men that's a photo of them when they were arrested. They've sat on death row over 25 years, almost 30 years. Let me tell you what they did. These two took 49-year-old Peter Lovato, and they bound his hands and feet. And they hit him over the head, and they tossed him off of a bridge. Whenever Travaglia realized that he was still alive, he then shot him. Once in the chest and twice in the head. Their next victim, Marlene Sue Newcomer, she was 26 years old, a single mother. She stopped to pick the two up on the road one night. It was New Year's Day. It was bitterly cold. They thanked her by repeatedly shooting her. The next victim, William Nichols, 32 years old. They carjacked him. They bound and gagged him, weighed him down with a rock, and threw him into an icy lake to die. Their last victim, Officer Leonard Miller, 21 years old, rookie police officer. Third day on the job that he wanted to be a cop since he was a child. Third full day on the job. They enticed Officer Miller into a chase. They let him pull him over. And then they shot him. They shot him and left him on the highway to die. Right now, there's current photos of them. Well, Michael Travaglia died after 30 years on death row. Sentence never carried out. John Lesko, he still sits there. after the horrific crimes that they admitted to doing. They're still sitting there. Let's bring you up to today. These are names you might recognize. Melvin Knight, Ricky Smurns. Part of the Greensburg Six. Tortured and murdered 30-year-old Jennifer Doherty. Mentally challenged. Really didn't know what she was getting into. They held her in an apartment. Tortured her. They beat her. They raped her. Finally, they made her drink urine and feces. Just unimaginable things. They finally tied her up with Christmas lights, stabbed her, and then dumped her in the trash for someone else to find. These two currently sit on death row. Are we going to let them sit there for 25, 30 years like Lesko and Travaglia? Or should we do something about it? Here's an upcoming case. This is one for you to think about. This is Robert Bowers. He walked into the Tree of Life Synagogue last October and shot 11 people. He hasn't been sentenced yet. Do we want this murderer to sit on death row for 25, 30 years? Or does he have a right to appeal over and over again? He took the lives of 11 people. They had no choice. Something to consider. Here's some of my ideas to shorten everybody's stay on death row. Let's limit the number of years to appeal. No more 25 years, no more 30 years. How about 5 years max? 5 years max is enough time. It's more time than any of their victims had. Limit the years to appeal. Simple solution. Number 2. If there is positive DNA proof, scientific DNA proof, that the murderer is guilty, no stays, no delays. Carry out the sentence. We can't have 25, 30 years. Positive proof equals death sentence. Lastly, if there is a conviction and they are sentenced to death, only because some people were so against the death penalty, because it's inhumane, let's let the family of the victims decide what to do. If it comes back as guilty, do they get life in prison without the chance of parole? Or does the death sentence be carried out? 3 simple solutions. And it will solve that 25, 30 years sitting on death row, having taxpayer money. In some states like California, over $1 million spent on each. There's no need for that. We need to come together. We need to talk to our representatives. We need to insist that these inmates do not have the luxury of 25, 30 years. Their victims did not have the choice. As the ancient king of Babylon, one of his laws, and I quote, "An eye for an eye." Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening.